Hello, this is Arielle from the Inconspicuous Bear, and I'll be narrating the heroic version of the Tectus encounter in the Highmaul raid from a Guardian point of view. As a general reminder, remember that the mechanics on normal are the same as heroic, the boss does less damage and has less health and so on and so on, so this video will suit normal just as well as it will suit heroic. The Tectus encounter is, from a tank perspective, it's pretty simple. The gist of it is you end up just moving around in a giant circle, but there are some abilities you need to be aware of, as they can change what you do, sort of, from time to time, a little bit. Anyway, let's get started with those. The first thing you need to be aware of is this thing called accretion. Basically, Tectus and his motes and his shards gain a stacking buff that increases the amount of damage they do over time. This buff is removed by doing damage to them. Now, in normal and heroic, the easiest way to handle this is just to stack everything on top of each other so that AoE and cleave damage can keep accretion down. If you don't do that, or don't at least split damage in some manner, you'll end up getting like a huge amount of AoE damage and bad things will happen. So normal and heroic, it's much easier just to stack everything together and kill it. On Mythic, you can't do that because accretion spreads. So, yeah, just something to be aware of. The next ability you need to be aware of, and will be your primary driver behind when you move the shards or motes or Tectus himself, is something called Crystalline Barrage. It's basically this red stuff that comes out from the boss and towards a random ranged member of your group, and it'll hurt people along the way. Now, the thing to remember is that there's no space for melee to stand when melee Crystalline Barrage is going out, and typically the range will be standing behind your melee, so the Crystalline Barrage will go through the melee to get to the ranged. So basically, every time barrage happens, you want to back up a couple steps, the boss moves, and the melee have room to stand without getting themselves killed. The other ability that dictates how you move the boss is called Earthen Pillar. Basically, the earthquake happens, and some ground comes out from the ground, or some like stone comes out from the ground and forms an immovable object. I don't want to say object, but it forms a piece of terrain that causes line of sight, and you can't move through it, and so on and so on. So you need to make sure that you don't get yourself blocked in. This can be especially dangerous when his shards are out, so you can have 5 earthen pillars going out at once, and you can get yourself cornered really easily if you're ranged or stupid. So make sure you always have an escape path to get yourself out of a tight situation if need be. During the first phase of the encounter, when it's just Tectus by him itself, it'll spawn some ads, 2 ads, a caster ad and a melee ad, that the person that's not tanking Tectus will need to go and grab. You can do either job. There's no real deficiency in any manner to do either one. So if you end up getting the caster, there's 2 things you need to be aware of. One, the caster needs to be faced away from everyone else because he does this thing which is like a frontal cone attack. And 2, it'll sometimes do this purple swirly thing that needs to be picked up, generally by a tank, because it does like 190k physical damage. So you're the best one to soak that, obviously. However, what you'll probably notice is that the ads won't be alive long enough for this to be a problem, even on heroic. So I wouldn't even worry about it. I mean, you'll pick the ads up and then they'll basically instantly die. So you may or may not see these things. The other part to the gift of the purple swirly thing is that you'll gain a thing called petrification, which basically means that you can't tank Tectus because he'll gain accretion and heal himself, which is bad. So just a couple things to be aware of that you probably won't encounter, but you might if your DPS is horrible. Just saying. Talents and glyphs are pretty standard. You take your general 4 talents, Snowy Mord, Soul of the Forest, Dream of Cenarius, and Pulverize. The other ones don't really matter. You could go back and forth between Wild Charge and Feline Swiftness depending on what your job is. If you're the person that's going to be tanking Tectus at the start of the fight, Swiftness is better. If you're the person that's going to be picking up ads, Charge is probably better. So pick one or the other. Glyphs, Roar and Maul are the 2 mandatory glyphs here. Maul because extra cleave damage is always good, and Roar because why would you ever not take Roar? As for extra things to do as a Guardian, when the shards come out, so he will start as one big dude. they'll split into two medium-sized dudes. You want to keep Thrash up on both of them because of the extra rage gen, which is great. And then when one of them dies and splits into 4 little dudes, then you start spamming Thrash. Because a Guardian AoE damage is nuts. Also, it's a good time to use Berserk, so you can pop Berserk. And usually groups will hero on the first set of ads, so that's a good time for Berserk Armor Potion for max DPS. And then after Berserk wears off, just go back to spamming Thrash, and you pretty much just spam Thrash for the rest of the fight. Hope you enjoyed this video, and good luck with Tectus. I'm getting the left. We can just tank these together for ease of this. Melee, just be careful.
Kyle, you know.
Temporarily.
Yeah, I'm just making sure.
Like it.
It feels right, but wrong.
We don't want to push them over at the same time, so make sure most of your damage is on the skull.
How's accretion on the other one?
Oh, it's like non-existent.
Kyle, you can trank when things get sticky here.
One upheaval. Focus skull.
Kill him during this? Actually, we're not going to. Probably.
Touch of death.
Did.
Back in for flechettes. Another upheaval on the second one.
Really
Am I
sticky.
resing a DPS?
The healing tide if it gets really bad.
Resna sooner.
Let's get a healing tide anyway.
Okay, focus
Okay,
shards down.
Get out of that.
Remember, cleave on the shards, but don't focus on.
Are we killing Skull?
We're actually lost, right? Yeah, no, shit, that's my bad. We want to cleave the shards now.
There should be a hero.
Here,
Trapped right here.
Roaring, so people can reposition.
Behind.
Whole middle's up. One dead.
I was literally just held in spot by 3.
Upheaval.
That's not safe for us.
Let's get revival anyway.
Okay, these guys should die pretty quick.
Other side's open. Can we try and... We're getting 4 again in a second.
Well... Actually, yeah, good call.
LOS, this shit's terrible.
Thank you for the roar. Watch the sand pile. It'll obscure effects, and that's intentional, so be careful.
That's sneaky. I don't like that.
Kyle, trank if things get bad.
He's gonna die right here.
Fair enough.
Yeah. The big ads act just like the same too. I ran right over the back of one and died while I ran over him.
Let's draw something.
I think we made an R.
Yeah, the pillars.
Healing tide if things get bad.
Nice job.
GG.
We're steamrolling this tonight.